Writer's Afro think tank. White man explains why white people are obsessed with Barack Obama. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, right? But the current president of the United States is highly obsessed over Barack Obama, along with the entire Republican Party, who are thoroughly still perturbed about President Obama getting 2 smooth terms, being one of the most respected presidents in American history, being one of the most successful presidents in American history, despite the sabotage, by the Republicans and conservative Democrats who are jealous, right? And it points towards a bigger thing. They're just jealous of us. Anything that we do, they're going to be jealous of, right? When the playing field's even, right? When the playing field's even, right? And then we get to see who is better at a thing, right? And everybody starts at the same starting line, starts at the same place with the same advantages. Who ends up winning at the end of the day? You put black people in a competition with any group of people, in any genre, in any walk of life, guess what? We're gonna win. And that's not just something I'm saying, that's something that's true. We've proven it over and over and over again. And every time we confirm how excellent we are as black folks, right? Those insecure white folks who are constantly measuring themselves up to us, because like I said, it's jealousy at the end of the day for those white people who are insecure and don't love themselves, right? Who don't value themselves for who they are and always gotta compete because they see something in front of them that seems to be superior as far as they're concerned. So they're always trying to find a way to knock them down a peg, or to use derogatory terms to have at least the ether believe that they're not what everybody knows they are, right? And so the manifestation of America and its feelings, started to come out in this Trump situation. Like, America is technically a lot smarter than we've been in the last 10 years, but Barack Obama really did a number, right? Did a number on white men and white women, right? And then here comes another black woman, right? Back to back, that was way too soon. They couldn't handle it. And it was a woman too. You see, all these people know how efficient our black women are. In every aspect of government, when black women are involved in the process, it becomes tight and smooth and efficient, right? Notice how the government started messing up when white supremacy fired all the bureaucrats. They like to call them bureaucrats. These are government workers. These are citizens of these United States who operate the federal government, right? So when he fired 300,000 damn near black women, look how the government is inept. Look how the government doesn't run smooth. Because little do people know, African Americans have been running this federal government, all the administrative stuff. We've been running it. All these departments, a lot of the positive progress that a lot of these departments have within the federal government has to do with a black woman changing policy once they get in position. Same with a black man. Anytime a black man is in charge of any department, anytime a black man is in charge of any division of any unit anywhere, he excels. And everybody follows him and respects him. And then the misnomers, the propaganda spilled towards the populace, the European populace, starts to break down. Because it says, damn, every time I choose this person that just so happened to be black, things seem to work out. If I keep choosing this person, it's going to keep working out. And that undermines white supremacy. Because white supremacy, the last thing they need is for African people to go from the mud, underneath the mud, to on top. And when Barack Obama became the president, that showed everybody that we can get on top. It also showed that there's more people to come and that they can't stop it. So they're doing everything they can to stop it, including making every bad decision they can, every irrational decision, even though that irrational decision is right. You can clearly lay it down and see, okay, this is a terrible decision, right? This is the best decision. But I can't make the best decision because of my internal biases, my racism, my toxic masculinity, right? My hate towards women, my belief, right? Which is a stupid belief. Okay, at this point, there's enough data in the world to say women can lead just fine, right? But there's still men that still want to live in the barbaric days in which they at least had somebody they can dominate. White people need at least somebody, bare minimum, they can dominate, and that's their white woman. They can't have their white women believing they can be empowered by this damn black woman who's getting empowered. They can't have a populace motivated by anybody black. Because it shows if a black person can do it, coming from where they come from, anybody else can do it. And once anybody else, everybody says, you know what, we all can do it, then all of a sudden the influence of the European starts to dissipate. It starts to become just one of many choices, not the default choice. Right? So this white man, he gonna explain it. Right? They gotta explain it. Right? We know it. We understand. The rest of the world's understanding. You see, wokeness in the age of information is reaching a peak because before, the people in power used to be able to control the message via the radio, via the telegraph, via the newspaper, the print press. That was the most dangerous weapon for white supremacy because they could just lie, right? They start printing out a bunch of Bibles and making their own versions, right, to bolster their authority as white people, right? They start, when they own the radio stations, they would tell us what we're supposed to believe. And who was the opposing view? There wasn't any, right? Then you had TV, and you had a few channels where a few of the people who was on the radio said, you know, we can visually propagandize these guys real easy. There's only a couple stations, we run everything. Boom. You still telling all the media what it is that they're supposed to believe, right? And then we get to this point where everybody has a camera, everybody can report, and the math just ain't mathing no more, right? So the old ways of white supremacy, of holding on to power and being jealous of black folks while hiding it, while also cosplaying black folks, because everything about America is just black, is black history that white people stole, right? Everything that makes white people white, their identifiers in America, is just black culture. We let them borrow everything from their entertainment to food to everything, right? They don't embrace their European culture. They embrace the stolen black culture that they call American culture, right? And that's what they advertise to the world to this day. That's why when you think about America, you only think about some black person. You don't think about too many white people. And if you do think about them, it's probably some white person that was inspired, right, or a carbon copy of some black person. Usually that's the case, right? So it's just jealousy all around. It's always been jealousy. They've been jealous for thousands of years. They've been jealous since they saw those black golden gods of Africa. Them Greeks saw them goddamn black golden gods of Africa and all their culture and all their organization and all their goddamn history and all that music and all that power. They saw all that shit and they wanted it ever since. They even created the Catholic Church to emulate the Egyptian religious spiritual systems and things like that. They stole all kind of shit, right? We still peeling that damn onion back, right? And we're gonna be peeling it for quite some time, right? But anyway, let's let this guy explain to it. What's up with the jealousy? There's no need to be jealous. If you're a European, right, there are things you can find within your own culture, not just the manufactured Christian culture that's been given to you. I'm talking about your real culture, your real European culture, post-Christianity culture, your tribal culture, that culture that you gave up, that your forefathers gave up so they can continue to rob and steal the world without having to pay money to the crown, because that's all it was about, right? That real culture that you guys forgot all about. Y'all can be proud about that. Y'all can talk that up. And there's aspects of your history that you can also be proud of, but you guys don't concentrate on none of that, right? Because you believe all the power that you possess is the power that was created for you by your forefathers who did a bad thing, which makes you jealous, because all you guys know the only reason you got all this shit is because of a bad thing that happened, right? And you guys have not really built anything off the power of yourself or off the power of this thing called supremacy that you guys don't never seem to have, because supremacy ain't supremacy. It ain't never really did, right? Because if you're a superior being, you don't need slaves. You don't need anybody to fight your wars. You don't feel insecure around anybody else. You don't feel like anybody can harm you in general. You don't feel like anybody's competition. Shit. If you was really superior, all you would want is an even playing field so you can prove to the world that you are the superior being. All right? And hey, African people, all we want is a even playing field. And what do we prove every time we compete? It ain't our fault. That's just the way it is, right? Hey, life's not fair, right? Everybody can't have everything, and everybody can't be everything, right? So you look at what you consider your inadequacies, right? Look at your talents that you got. Embrace and love those things, right? And don't be jealous of somebody else. Ain't nothing you can do about it, right? All it does is create a toxic environment to where even you can't excel amongst the people you belong to, and you can't excel in life because you're too busy worrying about somebody else that got something more than you. Like, yeah, everybody who's tall wish they can be taller. Everybody who's short, wish they can be taller. Some people who's taller wish they can be shorter. You got light-skinned people wishing they was dark-skinned people wishing they was light, most white people wishing they was black. You got a whole bunch of POCs and black folks wishing they was white. Everybody wish they can be something different than what they are instead of loving who they are, right? Instead of embracing that, you know, all the good, the bad, indifferent, the imperfections, all that shit makes you you. And that's what you should embrace. But instead of doing that, worried about what somebody else is doing, worried about what somebody else is saying, worried about what somebody else look like, worried about what somebody else's talents is, you know, therein lies the problem, right? So that's just something they're gonna have to fix, and that's part of being human, right? And that's something that black folks figured out a long time ago, right? And the problem is, black folks were so advanced, right, as far as our social skills concerned. When this savage barbarian came along with all this Neanderthal-like behavior, well, we got shocked. We weren't ready for it, right? But now, age of information, we figuring that shit out, right? We putting 2 and 2 together. And once that cat's out the box, it can't go back in. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
I've been noticing for years that the Trump cult is absolutely obsessed with Barack Obama. So I decided to do some research to try and find out why the MAGA cult is so obsessed with Obama. Barack Obama has not been president for 10 years, and MAGA can't stop talking about him. They're literally obsessed with the man. They try and blame him for things that are happening today. That's not random. There's a psychological reason for that, although it seems a little creepy. Here are the 4 reasons the Trump cult is obsessed with President Obama. 1. The psychological wage of whiteness. In 1935, sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois at Atlanta University studied poor white Americans. White Americans, even the poor ones, with no money and no power, felt superior to black Americans. Not because they earned it, but because for 250 years the entire system told them they were superior to black people. The law said it, the church said it, the culture said it. Du Bois called it the psychological wage of whiteness. This is a status payment people collect just for being white, a floor that white people couldn't fall beneath. Then Barack Obama became president. He occupied the highest status role in the country. That destroyed the floor. And when a status floor breaks, people don't quietly adjust. They backlash. Obama didn't just win an election. He took something they didn't even know they were depending on. They didn't earn this special status, but they thought it was stolen when Barack Obama got elected. And they've been trying to take it back ever since. 2. Social identity threat. Psychologist Henry Teifel at the University of Bristol spent decades studying in-group conflict. What he found was when a member of an out-group outperforms the in-group, the psychological response is not one of admiration, but hostility. Teifel called this social identity threat. A failed black president would have confirmed the Trump cult's worldview, but Obama being polished, competent, scandal-free, and widely respected by world leaders made it impossible to call him incompetent. The better Obama performed, the more threatening he became to the cult. Not because of his policies, but because his success directly contradicted everything they believe about the natural order of things. He wasn't supposed to be better. He wasn't supposed to be a gentleman and a scholar, and yet he was. That doesn't just go away. When weak, mediocre people see someone they believe was inferior reach the highest office in the country, they don't get inspired. They become filled with rage. They feel lied to, and they need someone to blame for the hate and rage. That target is Obama. Everything they could never be. 3. Scapegoating. Obama left office in 2017, but his name never left the conversation because Trump spent more than a decade smearing his name. It all started before Trump was even president. Trump spent years pushing the birther conspiracy, claiming Obama wasn't American, wasn't legitimate, wasn't one of us. That wasn't politics. That was a deliberate effort to strip Obama of his humanity and plant him in the minds of millions as the source of everything wrong. Then when Trump took office, the playbook continued. Every problem needed an explanation. Economy struggling? Obama's fault. Crime rate rising? Obama's fault. Anything going wrong in the country? Obama's fault. Psychologists call this scapegoating. Assign one figure as the source of all your problems and anxiety, which then collapses onto that single target. It feels like clarity to his followers. It feels like understanding. It isn't. Trump didn't just keep Obama's name alive. He spent over a decade turning him into the villain of the story. And to the Trump cult members, this story still is true. 4. Cognitive dissonance. Here's what made the obsession permanent. The MAGA cult couldn't call Obama corrupt. There were no scandals. They couldn't call him incompetent. The record didn't support it. They couldn't even call him unpresidential. He was polished, disciplined, and respected around the world. Psychologist Leon Festinger at Stanford University studied what happens when people are confronted with evidence that contradicts their deeply held beliefs. Weak people don't update their beliefs when confronted with contradicting evidence. They double down on their original beliefs. Festinger called this cognitive dissonance. MAGA was left holding a belief system that Obama's entire existence disproved. And instead of resolving that contradiction by updating their worldview, they resolved it by hating him harder. The obsession isn't just political, it's psychological. And it has nowhere left to go. So it goes out onto everyone else in rage and obsession. Obama is living proof that the psychological wage of whiteness doesn't exist anymore. And to weak people who never earned that status in the first place, it feels like an identity crisis. So they obsess more, say his name more, talk about him obsessively all the time. They even have a name for this now, Obama derangement syndrome. Because Obama didn't just win the presidency. He broke a hierarchy millions of people thought was permanent. And they've been trying to undo that moment ever since.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.